What a great flying day. This is pretty much the end of the season, latter parts of October. Not a lot of flying days left, but this was definitely one of the better ones. For the start of the day, I just tried to push south. It was just starting to get thermic and lifty and still kind of challenging to get any higher. I found out that it wasn't really working that well, and doing that crossing to Mount Morrison to the south of I70, I wasn't really getting any good thermals here to do that crossing. Also, once I started hanging out in the area a bit, I really noticed how much of a south component there was today. So I decided to just turn around and run with the wind and use the terrain to my advantage and hopefully find some thermals down the road. I didn't really have any particular plan for the day. I was just flying the day and enjoying myself and hoping to do a little bit of XC, but now I got back to the hill and I saw some gliders still thermaling around there, and I saw some folks also pushing further north. So I just took the thermals that I had here and pushed over Galbraith straight away. Here I found it first a little bit challenging, but not too bad. There were some weak thermals that were kicking off in this sort of valley and opening. In the south wind I would have expected more thermals on the south side, but it wasn't really happening. Eventually I found enough climbs here and pushed to a pretty common thermal trigger, which is here, this heels after the Golden Gate Canyon Road. It's a really common place for me to get a thermal, especially with the south component wind. I'm getting a pretty good glide, so I'm just pushing towards Ralston Butte straight away. At this spot, this is a common place to get a thermal. It's sort of a lee side thermal because the cliffs are heating up on the lee side, and sometimes it can be quite rowdy here, but it's very consistent. I usually try to find the climb on the lee side edge of the cliff where it merges with the easterly wind, but so that I always have easterly side on glide. Somehow I've gotten almost too comfortable using this thermal. Going forward, I really want to explore finding climbs more over the foothills of Ralston rather than being tucked away here on the lee side. Finally, I got enough vert to push on the front side or over the peak of Ralston Buttes, and this area is super consistent oftentimes, so I got some climbs here that were really strong. I lost them and I kind of pushed back several times to regain climbs or find new climbs in that area, and finally, when I was around 10k, I pushed on glide towards Coal Creek Peak. Here I am over the Coal Creek. Initially, it was kind of interesting. At 2:30 p.m., it wasn't really triggering that easily, and it took me some time boating around to really find a climb here. Eventually, I did, and it got me to like 11k. At this point, I was facing a choice whether I wanted to fly further towards Boulder, and I made the decision to turn around and try to fly back home because the day this time of year is shorter and there's no way I could have made it back at this point. Now that I was pushing back home, I was actually fighting the south wind quite a bit, and it was drifting me a lot, and I had to push essentially upwind, and so the progress was a little bit slower than expected. The wind wasn't that strong. It was maybe like 7 or 8 miles an hour southeast. So I just got enough vert to get to White Ranch, and here I'm using the higher terrain to my advantage, and I'm indeed finding some weak climbs over this high terrain. Sometimes this high terrain doesn't really work that well, but today it definitely worked, and there were some weak climbs here and there that kind of saved me again and again and again. As I got further south, the wind direction kind of shifted to be more straight east, or even having a little bit of a north component. So actually that last section was easier than the section over the Coal Creek Peak. I think I got really lucky here. I took a little bit deeper line here. I wasn't that concerned because I was high and I could always glide on the foothills. And the thermals were pretty drifty. They weren't that strong. Like here I'm getting like 0.6, 0.7, but I'm just taking it just to be able to get back home. And so here I'm overflying Galbraith. I'm just over the peak, and now I have lookout on glide. So this was a really fun out and back that I did here. I arrived, there was still some sunlight left, and there were some other gliders thermaling and ridge soaring essentially, and so I just joined them for a bit. Yeah, what a fun day. So cool to get these days, end of the season. So our learnings for the day were probably flying the day. It was definitely the right call to use that south wind to my advantage and fly north. It was way easier pushing that way than going upwind. I'm kind of really proud that I was able to make it all the way home, pushing upwind from Coal Creek Peak. It was definitely didn't feel that easy in the beginning, but somehow I made it work and found enough climbs to make it. Another curiosity for myself is probably just trying to find climbs more at the foothills or out front over the flats rather than getting myself deep like when I was on the lee side of Ralston Buttes. It can be sometimes a pretty committing place, especially if you were to get a collapse down low on the lee side of Ralston. It's really not a fun place to be. Finally, I was running out of time, so I had to go land. It was really nice to have all that extra vertical when I was over the LZ, so I could do some fun tricks and wingovers on my way down. So yeah, what a fun day. More days like this, please.